Gardeners want to be growing things all the time, but here in northern Michigan, we have a very short growing season. So we all get greenhouses in order to extend our growing season. Now this gets me about extra 6 weeks, but there is not a single gardener who gets a greenhouse and says, I can live with 6 weeks. They immediately think, what can I do to extend my growing season even further? And that means insulation. Last year I used bubble wrap, did a video on it, you can check it out here. However, I had some issues with that, which we're going to discuss in this video, and that's why I'm shifting to a hybrid foam / bubble wrap system that I can use year after year and not have as much waste. Let's get into it. Now here's my greenhouse. It is 6x6x16. I got it from Wayfair. Standard, got your polycarbonate in here. I was able to set up with these shelves where I was able to produce all the flowers and vegetables that I needed for this garden to include around all of the flower beds, my mom's place. We had a ton. We did a whole bunch of live videos last year. We'll be doing more this year, so make sure you subscribe, right? Other steps I've taken to maximize my growing season has been to ensure that this is aligned east-west, so that way the south-facing wall and roof are collecting as much sun as possible. The last few years I've done my greenhouse in bubble wrap. It's not a difficult process, takes a couple hours, and it works fairly well. The issue you run into though is that you end up wasting a lot of this bubble wrap because the UV rays from the sun get into it, and you might get 1 or 2 seasons out of it if you're lucky. Now this is 3/4 inch polypro foam insulation from Lowe's. I got 10 of them, just got them delivered to the house here. They're not much. I think they're like $9 per 8-foot by 4-foot section that we're going to use around the greenhouse here. So it's a real simple process. These are going to go on the outside of the greenhouse, which I'll show you. We're going to puncture a hole through here. There's going to be a bolt that's going to go through the polycarbonate windows, and we're going to connect it all with this alligator bolt, which is going to be on the outside here, which is going to give me a nice firm connection to the greenhouse. Let me show you what it looks like. Now I'll be installing this foam insulation on the outside of my greenhouse, and it's going to be done in a modular fashion. This year it's going up in full sheets, but when I take it down, we're going to be cutting it into 2x4 sections. So this piece will be 4, and that's going to allow me to store each one of these sheets, be able to pull them down and store them up in the rafters of my shed. Now, some of you immediately are saying, wait, Ryan, you're going to put holes in your greenhouse? Yes, absolutely. I mean, during the summertime, these are open, the door's open, water's coming in here all the time. I simply just need this to be a semi-dry place that can maintain a temperature for my seedlings during the winter. And the way I'm going to be setting up these holes to ensure that they're going to be able to meet that 2-foot criteria, each one of these dividers is 2 foot, right? It's a 2-foot span between here. So I'm just going to make sure I've got one here. I'm going to put one hole right in here. Have that there. And then the next one is going to go on this side of that divider. So that way, when I come through in the spring and I cut these out, I'm going to be able to have these clean, nice looking 2-foot sections that I'll number and be able to put this thing all back together just like this. Before we start the installation process, I want to get the temperature inside here. We're going to track this throughout the entire process to see how the temperature changes and when these fans kick on. Now they're designed to kick on at 90 degrees. They haven't kicked on yet since we got into December. Let's see if that changes. Once we have our hole, we're going to go ahead and just punch it through, right? There we go. We'll slip the bolts through. See right through the hole there. The hot tip here. So right, we're pushing these bolts through from this side, and there's a tendency across the board where they want to either slip back through or fall out. But what we're going to do, pull a duct tape right over the top of them. Then we're going to get the bolt through the foam, connect that up. I'm going to keep this loose because I do have a couple others I've got to do still, but just for demonstration purposes, what we got going on here. See, it started taking. We'll spin it down until it's tight. We'll do the same for the next bolt down. Same principle as we just work our way through. One side done, we're at 66 degrees. Up next, we are going to do this side right over here. We want to try to have all the seams run this direction, so when water does its thing, it drips out. We're going to do our best not to have too many of the horizontal surfaces. All right, let's get after it. Safety first, folks. Keep that blade in before you're ready to use it. We're just going to run it right along here and just score a spot along the styrofoam all the way down so I know where to cut. There we go. one of the things I want you to do is when you come in here to tighten these up at the end, give the bolt a little pull. It'll let you spin it just a little bit extra, and that'll make sure this is nice and firm against the building itself. Well, with this side done and the long side here done, we're going to move on to the roof now. Then we'll move on to the door and work on the interior. Temperature update. We are now at 72 degrees. And one last thing, don't forget the duct tape. You're going to need some help holding the boards in place while you're doing your thing. With these kit greenhouses, the chances of them saying square and plumb are like 0. You're gonna run into these situations where I want to make sure I'm staying flat across the roof line, where I'm coming down here. There's a gap, right? I'm sagging in the middle where this is showing up. So the trick to doing this is before you secure this down, just take your foam, slide it right up underneath there, and now you've got a good negative basically to start your cut with. Just run it right down there. You should be golden. Temperature check time. We have the end wall, the entire roof, the entire side. We just have this section open, and we've had this door open the entire time. And we're back at 72 degrees. Our exterior foam is done now. Let's take a closer look at it, and then we'll get to work on our bubble wrap. Start here on the end piece. You can see we've got this all set up. I did add just a couple little bits of tape here just to help some of those side areas here. You can see just where some might catch. Not too much worried about that. All right, and you see here, things look pretty good along here. No issues. Got these all tightened up. As you saw, we were working on, you see my scrap. I got a little bit of scrap left over. Don't worry. We've got a spot in our town where I can drop off stuff like this, and they do whatever they do with it. All right, so we've got foam insulation on the north roof, the north wall, the west wall, the east wall, and then we got foam insulation on the inside on our south wall to here. During the winter months in the spring, this is really the best direct sunlight that we're gonna get. There's a reason why this is on the inside instead of the outside. My greenhouse is up against my fence. It's just too big of a pain to have to maneuver back and forth, especially during season when I have this entire area, I barely have room to step, is filled with all of my seedlings. It's just, that's a big pain. So we just put that inside there, that's fine. So your next question is, Ryan, why didn't you just put foam all the way on the inside? Well, when this place is packed, for the same reason that I don't want to have to be dealing with trying to take the foam out there, this foam's going to stay put there. I'm not going to move it until after all the seedlings are out and everything's planted. Everything else, I'm just going to be able to pop right off from the outside. I can take care of 3/4 of the building from the outside. If you want to see a detailed video on how I did my bubble wrap last year for the entire greenhouse, go ahead and check out this video. Link will be in the description. Go check that out. But for here, really, it's a simple process. We're going to run strips of bubble wrap lengthwise across here, tape them up in succession. That's it. Well, there it is, folks. There is a bubble wrap roof. You can see. I'm going to come back through later, and throughout the season, I'll have to touch this up again. It's just what happens with bubble wrap. Now it is 4/22. 4/22, not 4/20. 4/22 here, December 30th. So the sun is getting ready to do its setting thing. We've had this door open the entire time, except when I was, sealing it. The final temperature for this is going to be 52 degrees. Now, if you made it this far, hopefully I've earned your subscription today. Be sure to subscribe though, and make sure you hit the notification bell. During the winter months, going into the spring, and throughout the year, I go live on YouTube Live with my subscribers, and we talk all things garden. Be in here doing my seedlings, all of my prep, all of our maintenance, all the things that we have to do in order to extend our growing season here in Northern Michigan. We'll see you next time. Take care.